let's get into the final bucket here, which is I'm skeptical. We have 2 hires here that we're going to talk about. The first is the Eagles hiring offensive coordinator Sean Mannion. Now, let me preface why I'm skeptical about this. Is not really anything about Sean Mannion, although he is another one of these very fast risers. I mean, this guy was on a roster. Yet again, as I said, he was on a roster as recently as 2023 before spending the last 2 years with the Packers as an offensive assistant in 24 and then quarterback coach last year. So fast rise here from Sean Mannion. You do talk to people, and they are complimentary about Sean Mannion. I think even when he was a backup in the league, he was kind of like these David Blau, Davis Mills types, like transitioning to being a coach before he was done playing type of guys. So that's obviously something to be skeptical about. He's a completely fresh face. The other reason I had trouble kind of categorizing this one, Nate, is because if he's going to bring in anything that looks close to like a Green Bay type offense, that is a pretty hard schematic left turn from what the Eagles offense has been recently. And I know you have a lot of thoughts on this, so I'm curious to hear what you have to say.
I've been trying to theorize on this a lot and just figure it out because I did the All City network show with the Eagles guys. So take out the vowels. So PHLLY, I think is what they call them. But they, EJ Smith and Bo Wolf. And so when I was doing that show, they were asking me about Mannion, and really where my brain went back to, even before his NFL stuff, I first heard of Sean Mannion playing at Oregon State, and why Oregon State is a team that's he was throwing the ball to Brandon Cooks a lot. Why a lot. And why Oregon State is always on my radar is because I'm a Paul Chryst disciple, and Paul Chryst is like best friend in the industry who runs the exact same offense we would run at Wisconsin was Oregon State, Mike Riley. So it's a very traditional offense. It's under center, it is drop back, it's deep drop back stuff. It's a lot of Norv Turner. And again, it's sometimes hard to shake that from your bones. So then when he gets into the NFL, it's under that train wreck Chris Winkie offense under Fisher, and then it's Sean McVay. There's a name you haven't heard in a while. And then it's the Vikings. And then a lot of Seahawks, Vikings. He actually has lived in a lot of the same places as myself, Seattle and Minnesota. But some of that's KOC. And KOC is a very vertically based offense, under center, drop back, 7-step drops. But that's stuff that's digs, that's posts, that's over the middle. And if I don't know, Eagles fans are tired of this. I get it. But that is where I'm kind of curious because like you just said, Jordan Love and Jalen Hurts don't play a lot alike. And if he's that Packers offense is more McVay-ish and more Mike Riley-ish than it is Shanahan-ish. So that is very vertical. It's an at-you run game, a vertical run game, the hard play action with the duo sets, a lot of digs, a lot of 7-step drop stuff and letting it air out. Now, Hurts is a great deep ball thrower. And when he's comfortable, he can throw over the middle. It's just that he's not comfortable doing it often. So I'm just curious how they merge this. It's a lot of under center. Hurts is another guy that's not always comfortable under center. How do they merge that? Because that's where you want to see that next step, that next level. They have a new offensive line coach. That's something else that's like, okay, we're doing that too. So I have a lot of questions on this, but I do think what his bones are, what his football dogma is that kind of more Norv Turner-ish offense, which is, if you're looking for a current comparison, maybe Colts-ish, which is maybe they're trying to get back to what Steichen was doing in this offense as well. So these are just, again, I'm theorizing what it could look like because I'm very curious. I'd actually, and I know Eagles fans are tired of me bringing up his name too, Tanner McKee, who might get traded this offseason. He's a better fit for what they want to run than what Hurts is, or what Mannion has done in his past, I should say. But I don't know if that means anything, but it's something I just want to throw out there just in case.
Well, we did we dip our toes in this conversation?
We did.
On 301? I think we were like, is there any universe where the Eagles, who have been known to bail on quarterbacks earlier than they would like, is it a Jalen Hurts trade, and then they start Tanner McKee and then take a draft pick? I think that's probably not going to happen, but just on the off chance that it does, we've now got it on the record on 2 shows here.
We got
just on the off chance.
We can clip it. We're good.
We can clip it. We can clip it and say that we called it, even though we couched it about 100 times that it wasn't going to happen.
Yep.
So but I think the most likely outcome is obviously Jalen Hurts is the starting quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles. And I like you bringing up sort of that North Turner stuff, because there's definitely some tie over there. But just if you look at this Eagles offense last year, and the way I would describe the Eagles offense, I know, again, we talked about Kevin Patullo, and I'm not a Kevin Patullo defender. I'm not going to go to the bat for Kevin Patullo
on Tuesday.
Yeah, big time win to the bat for freaking Kevin Patullo. Give me a break. Producer's literally flaming me in the chat for this. Anyways, my point here is that the Eagles offense, it's generally you're living in the same neighborhood, and just the way you design the house is kind of dependent on who the coordinator is. And I think Kellen Moore is a better interior designer than Kevin Patullo is by a lot. And that's why the offense felt better in 24 than it did in 25. But there are still a lot of the same principles. Last year, the Eagles were 28th in motion rate. They were 19th in play action rate, and they were 26th in under center rate last year. Those are going to be big shifts that I think will be present in this offense. There will be more motion if Mannion took anything from Green Bay, and there will be more under center play action. And there was the Vikings game last year where Jalen Hurts took a couple of huge shot plays off under center play action. And then the Giants game where A.J. Brown was hurt, like him and Devontae Smith were cooking on these dig routes under center. And then they just kind of bailed on it and didn't really go back to it. So I think that's our next question here with this Sean Mannion thing is just one, what does the offense look like in the pass game? Is A.J. Brown a part of this, or do they kind of move away from, some of that part of the previous world there? And then also in the run game, what is that going to look like? Because obviously part of this big turnover here is that legendary offensive line coach / run game coordinator Jeff Stoutland decided to leave the team after Mannion got the offensive coordinator gig. So I think there's a ceiling here on the Mannion hire. I just think there's a lot to be skeptical about in terms of all the pieces gelling together.
I'm glad you brought up that Vikings game, because that was the one game where Jalen Hurts did a couple things. I'm like, yes, this. So I even Googled it. He throws a touchdown to Devontae Smith down the field against the Vikings. And this is, if anyone wants to watch it, it is a classic as classic gets play action concept. It is an over and a post off of under center, duo action, straight back, not turning his back, duo action, not turning his back, because that's duo action, not zone action. And he's just launching it deep. That is literally the Norv Turner offense is built off that. That is what a Sean Payton offense is built off of. That is what I just brought up with Paul Chris and Mike Riley. Those are literally the core concepts you learn on day one. Is the over and the post, and then you do the variations off of that. Then you do the corner in the corner. Then you do the corner in the over. You do all the variations that you can do off of it. You do cross country, double overs, yada, yada, yada. But that also in that game, he hit an in-breaker to A.J. Brown for a touchdown in the red zone. And it's one of my favorite throws Jalen Hurts has ever thrown as a professional. And but again, it just, we got to just try to coax it out of him. And maybe getting a guy that wasn't with the Eagles staff before, truly an outsider, maybe that's what coaxes him. Maybe that's what, hey, I got to get my stuff in too. Maybe that's what they're going for, some of the personality stuff. I've heard great things about Sean, just, through the grapevine as far as just like as a guy. But I just want to, it's going to interesting merging of worlds. But look at that Vikings game. And it's funny because that touchdown was only the 7th under center play action they ran the entire season. And that was October 19th. At that point. I'm saying. Yeah. So, we need a little more of that. It doesn't have to be every play. Just 3-4 times. That's what you have to get to. 5-6 times. And you just have to hit 2 of them. Just have to hit 2 explosives off of that. And that opens up the entire offense for you.
Exactly. And that's how you can get away from it feeling like we're running, hitch routes every play or whatever. It's just divert from that world a little bit. And I think a lot of that comes back to the quarterback. So again, we should definitely be ready to admit this might take time to get going here.
Yeah.
Like this offense, if it's going to work, which we don't know if it will, but if it works, it probably feels better in November and December than it will in September and early October. Because I think there will be some gelling that needs to take place here, which, the Eagles have always known to be a very patient group. And I'm sure Sirianni will handle that well. And I'm sure it will be fine. So during all of that patience being needed moments here for the Eagles. Okay. Last one we're going to talk about here today. and this is in the I'm skeptical bucket, is that the Giants have hired John Harbaugh to be the head coach. Everyone's really excited about that. Then they hired Matt Nagy to be the offensive coordinator, and I'm skeptical. Okay, I'm actually the Matt Nagy hire makes me skeptical. Like put a deeper eyeglass at the entire John Harbaugh hire now too. Maybe I'm overreacting and I'm being a panic bro here. That's fine, but I don't know, man. It seems like John Harbaugh's entire plan was, we got a raw deal in Baltimore. They fired us because that was not a mutual parting of ways, anything like they fired John Harbaugh. That's what happened. They fired John Harbaugh, and his plan was, I'm going to bring all my boys from Baltimore, whether they've been away elsewhere or whatever. Like Denard Wilson was the DC hire. He was with the Tennessee Titans, but he comes from that tree. I'm going to bring all my guys here, including Todd Monken as the offensive coordinator. And that's all I'm going to think about. We're going to put Greg Roman on the staff. Don't worry, we're going to put Greg Roman on the staff, though. He's like an assistant on the staff because I've worked with him before. I don't know if you know that. We the Harbaughs love to pass him around. But Todd Monken gets the head coaching job in Cleveland, and it's like, oh, shoot, we got to hire Matt Nagy. And I'm sorry, but like this is just the least inspiring thing that's happened throughout the whole. And look, maybe I'm wrong. Let's say all the caveats. I could be totally wrong about this, whatever. Matt Nagy knows more about football than me. But Nate, I don't think this doesn't light my fire whatsoever.
Oh, I mean, just look at the tree. That's actually really great. That kind of like is the issue. It was one guy he worked under. Then he goes as the head coach, flames out, and goes right back to Kansas City, which is also an issue in Kansas City as well. But also with Nagy, it's just that when he was in Chicago, so much of that offense was either gimmick BS. Like they would start every season with a wing T formation because the Chicago Bears fight song has wing T in it. Or it was exactly what Andy Reid ran the previous week. And no, he did. And he's so uninspiring. It was never, even with Fields, we know what Justin Fields is now. They never did anything to like morph the offense to what Fields was good at, which is a concern. There is a stylistic clash here between Nagy and Dart. I love Monken with Dart way more than this because Nagy and an Andy Reid offense, and we talk about this, it's a true West Coast offense. And I'll talk about one positive with Nagy in a sec, don't get me wrong. But Dart, if you look at his spray charts, you just watch him, he's a very boom-bust quarterback. It's downfield shots, it's a lot of screen stuff, or it's him scrambling. There's not a lot of stuff over the middle. There's not a lot of quick hitters. There's some RPOs they ran, but his quick hitters were like over routes and stuff. So when I'm watching Dart and then I watch Nagy, watch a Chiefs offense from the last 15 years, quick hitters, RPOs, bubbles, slants, just stuff, that because they want to attack horizontally very quick. They want to augment the run game or help out the run game. But I'm looking at that and I'm like, that's a terrible like stylistic fit between Nagy and what Dart's good at, because Dart to me is like has to be shooting down the field or running. Almost, funnily enough, used almost like Daniel Jones, but it's really and so I look at this and I'm just kind of like I'm a little worried about this as far as just it's an uninspiring hire. I thought the best time Nagy was in charge of something was the 2017 Chiefs, which got him the job for the Bears, where Alex Smith's last year there on third down, they just started launching stuff and it was awesome. And it's exactly what the NFL meta needed. And I was really inspired by that. Ever since then, there's nothing that's been inspiring about what he's done as a play caller or anything. Just look at the Chiefs the last couple of years, look at the end of the Bears regime, all that stuff. No quarterback got better. Anything else I can paint? Greg Roman. I think the Giants O-line's actually decent, but even Roman, I'm a little like, okay. So I just am now a little kind of concerned about all this, if anyone can't tell. So I think they backdoored their way into Matt Nagy. I did think the Monken hire would have been a lot more inspiring with Dart. This to me is just like, all right, let's get through this year and then we can assess stuff. That's what this kind of feels like.
Yeah, because with Todd Monken, I mean, and we talked about this. I would have. I was like, oh, I could really like that if that's the OC hire, because he's shown an ability to modernize. He's shown an ability to like run out of condensed formations and all this type of stuff that sort of again the static rankings. As I've said, the Ravens were 5th best in my static rankings. Last year, the Giants were 29th in the static offense rankings. Guess who was 30th? The Kansas City Chiefs. By the way, they hired Brian Callahan as the offensive coordinator. You know who was dead last in the static offense rankings? The Tennessee Titans.
Oh, no. Yeah.
He was a quarterback coach. Brian Callahan, quarterback coach. Guess who was 31st? The place that Brian Callahan came from, the Cincinnati Bengals. I just
the whole picture there.
Yeah. And look. It's a made up stat, okay, and Matt Harmon's brand of favorite football doesn't really matter, okay? Who cares? What I think is meaningless.
Are you trying to paint a picture here?
Yes. And this is what Nagy, what I'm projecting Nagy and this coaching staff to bring to the table is everything I don't like about football at this point. Offenses that, because I think that there's it's funny you mentioned that you think some of what Nagy is going to bring here is not a good fit with Dart. I was trying to devil's advocate myself and be well, if it's just going to be a bunch of RPOs and kind of these one read plays and all that, I think Dart, it's kind of what he did at Ole Miss a little bit, right? But
a lot of it, yeah.
Yeah, right. That's basically what he did. So maybe it would make him comfortable. But guess what? Even if that works kind of in 1 year, year 2, year 3 of this experience, Giants fans are going to be what's next? What's next? And there's never been an ability with Matt Nagy where what's next? What's the innovation off of this? Where are we going? And that's where I think Todd Monken was the guy that took Lamar from, phase 1.0, 2.0, whatever, to the next phase. And that's where I think that even if this works, which I don't think it will work, and now, again, this makes me skeptical of the entire, we're just turning the keys over to John Harbaugh and everybody reports to him. And he just wanted to mostly bring his old buddies here. When's the last time old coach brings all his old buddies here and fixes a team that's not been good? When's the last time that worked? I don't know. Maybe Andy Reid went to Kansas City. Yeah. But what was the age gap there? I don't know. Whatever.
Right.
Age is not everything, but it gives me a little bit of Pete Carroll vibes, even though he kind of did have an arranged marriage. Well, and that's the thing though. Pete Carroll had an arranged marriage with offense coordinator Chip Kelly, and now I think this is a bit of an arranged marriage with John Harbaugh, Matt Nagy, and instead of Pete Carroll and his sons, it's John Harbaugh and Greg Roman, who's basically a Harbaugh, a part of the member of the family. So the Harbaugh Mafia. I don't know. So again, this is just everything that I would not want for a young quarterback is essentially what the Giants have presented Jackson Dart. And if you're a Dart optimist, I don't think you can like this. And I think if you're a Dart skeptic, I think you don't like this either.
You're piling on. Well, and that's even too, is that the because they didn't directly overlap, I don't think, in Philly, but Harbaugh, John, worked for Andy Reid in Philly before he got the Ravens job. And so even there, it's still connections with that. You said bring back his old buddies. Well, we'll bring back my buddies here too. And I get NFL, there's going to be a lot of that kind of overlap with some of these staffs and everything. But look what Mike McDonald just did. He just 3 years in a row, he's hired an OC that he's never worked with before. Guy just won a Super Bowl doing it. It's okay to go against your tree or go away from your tree and just try to go, hey, this might be an interesting idea, and go with it. But yeah, I respect Harbaugh a ton, and I respect what they're trying to do. They're trying to even personnel wise, they had so many holdovers. The Maras don't want to fire anybody. So they've had so many personnel guys there forever, and they kind of cleared house there. Okay, that's fine. That's one thing. But then the coaching staff had kind of just this hodgepodge going on. It's respectable. Don't get me wrong. There's respectable names here. Greg Roman can cook up a run game fairly well. Maybe just don't have him call plays. But again, he's a pull guy, and Nagy and Reed are zone guys. So we got a little square peg round hole going on there. The offensive line, I do think it was way underrated last year, but again, might be some drop off there. I don't know. I'm skeptical. I'm very skeptical with it. Not saying completely out. I've been proven wrong plenty of times. Dart has some fun aspects to him, but this staff leaves me very worried about how they can grow him and mature him rather than just make everything easy buttons and guardrails and just kind of making it easy for themselves. Maybe that's the best way to put Roman and Nagy. They make a lot of things easy for them and not the players. And that kind of makes me worried over time.
That's exactly where I kind of come down on this, is that I think you needed somebody here to push Jackson Dart to the next phase. And instead, I think you've got something here where I would be surprised if we don't run into the ceiling pretty quickly with this pairing. In addition to the fact that the personnel, the offensive line, I agree with you, was underrated last year. The personnel around Jackson Dart needs a ton of work. Like Malik Neighbors might start the year on PUP. And I don't think people are talking about that enough. And, there's definitely like, oh boy, we're just going to do all the bubble screens and cheesy stuff to Malik Neighbors. Well, what if he's not there in September, and when he comes back in October, he's like not himself all year long? That's troubling. Wan'Dale Robinson's going to walk. He's a free agent. They're doing Darius Slayton again, because he's on a big contract extension. And it's just like that's
he's
it.
on the Steve Young USFL contract, 25 years, $1 million a year. That's his contract.
Darius Slayton and the Giants are like the toxic couple, that just like every year they're about to break up, and then they just get back together again. And he's probably going to have to play a bunch of snaps for them this year because again they don't really have it. They have to probably take a wide receiver early in the draft, like potentially with their first pick, because that room is just so barren, and that's just going to be a very bizarre dynamic with this offense. So yeah, I'm skeptical. I think perfectly sums up what we're looking at with the New York Giants right now. So we'll see. Hopefully we're proven wrong on that